And I'm sharing this story with you because everybody has something to share. Everybody has an experience in their life. We've all made the choices that have led us to right here tonight, to being together on this webinar. And I was going to, focus on marketing, but I really feel like after Father's Day and going on this rafting trip and just having some time to get perspective out there in nature and really enjoy ourselves away from cell phones and internet for a whole 36 hours, it brought it near and dear to my heart just how precious, again, like I don't know already, but sometimes I need to be reminded, and I don't know, maybe you guys do too, as to just how precious life is and how short it is and how finite it is, and how really the one thing that we all have the exact same amount of is time. And all of us have the same desire. I could probably put it down into one word if I had to, and that would be more. A desire for more in our life, for more time, more friends, more family, more money, more finances, more whatever it might be. And not long ago, when Jack was diagnosed with sarcoidosis, and we went through the 3 years of medical treatment, which ended up being a time where we weren't really sure how much time he had. And it really helped us figure out what was important. It wasn't the cars that we were driving or the houses that we owned or how many times he mowed the lawn, and made it look like a golf course, because that's really how OCD he was about having to have things perfect. That it wasn't about all those things. That's not what life was about. It was about the time we get to spend together and the memories we get to make, and living healthy, being healthy. Because at 31 years old, when he was diagnosed with a rare chronic disease that we'd never heard of before in our life, we realized, oh my goodness, he lost his business. He couldn't climb trees anymore, couldn't do the work physically. Financially, it was a big burden and a big devastation. For him as a man who could no longer provide for his family, it was extremely emotionally difficult. And so I share all these things mainly because he never gave up. He never, ever gave up, because he knew there had to be a better way. And 3 years of medical treatment later, he was on 6 medications, and they wanted to put him on a 7th. And he had seen 3 specialists for those 3 years. He had been completely compliant. He had done everything they asked, but he was still sick. And now he was like trying to figure out the symptoms and the side effects and which one was worse. And, should he continue down this path, because it was probably just going to lead him to 14, 15 different medications, and still wondering if his disease was ever going to go into remission, and what if there was any hope really for living a better quality of life by taking more meds. And he decided to get off that roller coaster and take his health into his own hands and be his own guinea pig, and just not for the guarantee that life was going to be better, that he was going to go into remission or anything like that, but simply because out of sheer tenacity and stubbornness, he felt very strongly that he was not going to be a guinea pig any longer to the medical community, and he was not going to take that 7th medication and then that 8th and the 9th and the 10th and continue on that hamster wheel. So he jumped off, and we had no clue what we were doing when it came to natural or alternative medicines, or what might work, or what kind of diet he should eat, or what foods he should eat, what foods he shouldn't eat. We were really just trying everything that came into our life through friends and family and loved ones, and books that we read, and chiropractors and acupuncturists and massage therapists and naturopaths, and my goodness, you name it, he tried it, to the point where I actually started a radio show so that I could interview. It's called The Medical Insider, and it was specifically my own personal need to be educated to the natural and alternative world of wellness that we were not told about, that existed, but we weren't told about it when Jack was in medical treatment. And so we started to ask those questions, like what foods can he eat that are going to help his body fight the inflammation, that are going to help fight back and help those stem cells regenerate properly and help on that cellular level so that he could stop feeling so poorly. Nobody ever told us what foods those were or if there were any. Again, clinical studies that I was reading at 3 a.m. in the morning. So long story short, 18 months later, he's been in remission since May of 2009. That's 6 years now. No medications, complete tenacity. He's stuck with what we decided to do, which was mostly diet and nutrition, and it has led us here tonight to this place where he took 2 supplements for 5 years that I have researched heavily, and I actually dedicated 2 chapters of my book to these different nutrients. One's called fucoidan. It's a seaweed. It's an extract in seaweed. Another one has a lot of antioxidants and whole food ingredients and really powerful nutrients that have healing power. Because we all know food is fuel, right? I mean, that's what we eat to live. Sometimes I eat to satisfy a craving, or I eat because I have an urge, or I'm anxious, or I'm having a bad day. I'm an emotional eater. I don't know about you guys, but ultimately, food was put here on the planet to nourish our body, to give us those essential nutrients that we need every single day so that our cells can do what they naturally are meant to do: regenerate, repair, and heal, and keep us alive and flourishing and vibrant. But we live in this place that has really gotten away from real food. We live in a culture, in a society, in a time where everything is fast-paced, and I want it now and I want it yesterday, and Pop-Tarts taste really darn good, right? Or Twinkies, or Monster energy drinks, or whatever it is that may be your vice or your kid's vice. And real food, Brussels sprouts and kale and spinach, is expensive, for one, and it's lacking nutrients as well because of the soils have been over-farmed. We are the mycorrhizae and all the nematodes and the things. Our soil is no longer biotic. It's no longer alive, and so what is not in the soil is not going to get in the food, which is not going to get in our bodies from the foods we're eating. And it's pretty common knowledge. Everybody that I speak with really feels like they know they're not getting what they need nutrient-wise from the foods that they eat, and they may be taking several vitamins, and they hope that that's giving them what they need, but they're not really sure. And I know that was the path Jack and I were on, and the boys, for a very long time. We were spending $300, $400, $500 a month on supplements. We did the research, crossing our fingers still, though, that those supplements weren't full of fillers and nasty additives, but that they were actually in a form that our body could assimilate. And we still got sick, and we still do get sick, and we use essential oils, and we do all these things. But as you guys know, back in October, my husband had been taking these 2 supplements for 5 years. And again, I don't really know how to share this to fully help people grasp how dedicated and committed he was to taking those supplements for the rest of his life, because we really felt like 75 to 80% of his miraculous healing and his body going into remission and repairing the lymph nodes and the granulous tumors and really regaining his ability to ride his bike and to go whitewater rafting and start climbing trees again and all of that, we really felt like 80% of that was because these 2 supplements with all these different whole food nutrients gave his body what it needed, enough of what it needed, to not only stop the progression of sarcoidosis, but to actually start helping his body repair on a cellular level. And, maybe he could have done that with bushels of kale every day or whatever, but he was able to do it through a healthy diet and supplementing after 18 months, his body was able to repair enough to where he has not had a symptom of sarcoidosis since. So 5 years down the road, he's taking these 2 supplements, hasn't skipped a day, wouldn't even think about it. And we hear about this healing food, this nutrient food company called Yabo International. And I'm a foodie. We've read written the Education Beats Medication Total Wellness series. I've interviewed certified nutritionists and dietitians and holistic oriental medicine physicians and immunologists and neurological chiropractors. And guess what they all say? It comes down to nutrition. It comes down to what we eat. Okay? And whole food nutrients, because as soon as we start chewing, our body, the enzymes in our mouth, start breaking down those foods. So it's much more beneficial to get our nutrients from plant-based whole foods than it is from a pill. We don't really chew a pill, or a juice, a liquid that we just swallow and it goes right into our digestive system. It should be starting naturally with the chewing process. So I know this in my mind. And I'm like, but dang, I also know soil depletion. UNICEF did a study in 1992, a world study, took samples from soils all around the world. And overall in the world, 70% soil depletion. But in the US, in some spots, it was as much as 85% soil depletion in vitamins and minerals and nutrients. Which means, guys, just like the apples grow on the tree and we go out and we pick that live food, which is the most nutritious, it's just picked off the tree, still growing, like it hasn't started degrading yet. And we eat it, but the soil that apple tree grew in is 85, let's just say 70. Let's just go lowball it, 70%. This was a study that was done in 1992. And if any of you know of a more recent study, please send it my way, because I have been looking for one for years. So I'm thinking 1992, 3 years ago, the US soils were at least 70 and in some spots 85% depleted. So there's that apple tree growing. Let's say 70% soil depletion. Not the macronutrients, not the micronutrients, not the vitamins and the minerals and all those little nematodes and live biotic soil that tree's growing in. No. So how's the apple going to have it? How's the apple going to have all the A's and C's and all those vitamins and minerals and thiamine and iron and all those things in it if it's not in the soil? It's not. So even those people who like us, we live in a small town. We eat healthy. I cook from scratch. We don't have any fast food restaurants. But my husband still was diagnosed with an inflammatory chronic disease at the age of 31. To me, it just proves that we just are not getting what we need from the soil. We are not getting what we need from the food, even if it's live whole foods. We aren't. People are still getting sick every single day. And I love Aubrey de Grey. He's a world-leading geneticist, and he just pretty simply says that sickness is 80% environmental and 20% genetic. Okay? So who's in control of your environment? Who gets to decide what you think, what you eat, where you live, what job you do, if you exercise, how much rest you get? Do you start your day off with a cup of coffee or a glass of water? Do you go to bed at night with your Pepsi? That's your environment. And each of us, and have much more control over our environment than we do our genetics. Okay? So that's a really exciting fact, that when I heard about Yabo International and I wrapped my mind around those 43 essential nutrients. You see, there's over 90 nutrients out there, vitamins and minerals, micro, macro, probiotic, prebiotic, all these different nutrients that this body needs to stay healthy. But there's 43 of them that your body, my body, everybody cannot manufacture on its own. And if we get those 43, that foundation, then our body will take those 43 and make the rest, so that we will have all the nutrients for living a healthy, vibrant life. But if we are low in one, and I'm just going to pick vitamin D, for example. Vitamin D has been proven to be necessary for over 2,000 biological functions. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I've never told my cells what to do. They just do what they do, right? Mitochondria and Krebs cycle and all those fun things that I don't fully understand, they just happen. But the nutrition that we eat is what continues that chain, continues that healthy cycle in happening and regenerating and making sure those healthy cells regenerate, and the cells in the mitochondria that's where our cells get fed, is through the mitochondria. And if we have everything in the nutritional form, our cells will get what they need, and then they'll regenerate and they'll repair and they'll recover, and healthy stem cells will grow and more cells will develop, and on and on and on. And we will stay healthy. Okay? But vitamin D is responsible for over 2,000 biological functions. What happens when all of a sudden there's not any more vitamin D? I'm sure we've all heard, to make bone, you need 7 different vitamins and minerals, a full matrix to make bone. Okay? Vitamin D is one of them, vitamin A, vitamin K, there's several. You can have all 6, and without that one, you're not making bone. It's not going to happen. It stops that chain reaction and stops the process. And in the body, our brain is like our nervous, our central, it's our control box. And it gets to decide if we drink enough water, great, then all of our extremities will get the water they need. All the cells will get the water they need. If we're dehydrated, the brain is the last place to not get water. So it literally starts shutting down things and saying, the arms don't really need that much water. Start cutting off there because the liver is more important. Organs are more important. Heart is more important than an arm, a finger, a toe. And the same thing happens with nutrition. And then what happens is we start physically and mentally degrading to the point where I have a chronic headache that I've had for 3 years. I cannot figure this thing out. I cannot ignore it anymore. It's so painful. I have got to go to the doctor. And they run all their tests. For Jack, I have these lymph nodes that are swollen after 3 months, and they will not go away. And my wife is nagging at me, saying, you need to go get this checked. What if it's lymphoma? I'm one of those, worst case scenario kind of people. And you've got to go get it checked. This isn't to play around with. We can't just go to the health food store and hope that you're going to get better off of a few little supplements here and there. You've got to go get it checked. We start developing chronic symptoms. And if we ignore them long enough and we're still deficient long enough, it becomes a chronic disease. Arthritis, heart disease, obesity, sarcoidosis, that's a rare one. That's what Jack was diagnosed with. Psoriasis. One of the first places that disease manifests is our skin. So if we pay attention to the symptoms and we don't let them get out of hand, we go get some blood tests and figure out what our vitamin and mineral levels are and start changing our diet and taking time to rest, and we drink enough water and all these things we know that we are in control of in our environment, we can actually start repairing. And we can do 2 things. I fully believe we can either prevent a disease, stop it right in its tracks, if we catch it early enough, or we can reverse a disease. How many people do you know who decided not to do chemo and medication and radiation, that chose diet and nutrition and maybe some alternative remedies and things like that, went to a holistic practitioner, and their cancer is now in remission? How many people do you know who chose not to eat wheat, and all of a sudden all their arthritic pain is gone? How many people do you know who maybe changed their diet when they had extremely high blood pressure, arteriosclerosis, or something like that, and within 3 to 4 months, their blood pressure is perfect, and they don't have to worry about their high cholesterol anymore? You see, that is the power of healing food and a healthy lifestyle. Okay, and it's our responsibility to do what we can to live that healthy lifestyle. And so I share that whole story with you guys tonight. One, because I felt like I needed to share it. Two, because we are that family that has proven that diet and nutrition is imperative to taking back your health. And as I was out rafting with Jack, and he was catching these bass, and he loves to fish, and, you know, has a smile on his face, and I was thinking, holy cow, you know, 7 years ago, I was wondering if I had 7 more days with this man. I didn't know. We had no clue. We sold our house. I mean, we did some crazy stuff, guys, because we didn't know how long it was going to be that we had to spend together. Now our kids are like almost all moved out, and we were like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do when we don't have any more kids and it's just the 2 of us, and we have time on our hands to hang out and spend together? Like, what a blessing that is. So I really gained a perspective of a much, not that I didn't have it, I was just so caught up in the busyness of life, but just how important those healing nutrients are, and how blessed I feel to be a part of a company, YEVO International, now that as of February, we decided to forego any of the supplements that Jack had been taking. That, again, was a huge leap of faith for us. But we really wanted to know that not only he was strong enough, his body was certainly in remission, and it wasn't just depending on these supplements, just like, you know, sometimes people's remission or absence of symptoms is due to the medications they're on, the corticosteroids or what have you. We wanted to really see. And so he's been eating 1 YEVO meal a day, which is only 50% of the 43 essential nutrients. But again, proof that when you get it in food, you get it. Your body actually gets it. It actually absorbs into the cells, and the cells get the nutrients they need. And he has, I know I shared this in the email, but he's lost 24 pounds. But the most important thing, and this is something that he was saying to me the other day, is he's keeping it off. He hasn't ridden his bike for a week and a half because he's been climbing trees. And climbing trees is not that aerobic. It's more anaerobic. I mean, it takes a lot of skill, and it's definitely physical, but it's not like he keeps his heart rate up for more than a minute or 2 at a time. And so he, because of the prednisone use for 3 years, high dose prednisone, he really struggles with his weight. And he went for a ride with his doctor. This is so, life just comes back around full circle, doesn't it? It has a way of doing that. 2 weeks ago, the doctor that helped diagnose Jack and check all the things that it wasn't off the list for 6 months before he was diagnosed in August of 2004 with sarcoidosis, is back in town. And he happened to sew Trent's forehead 2 weeks ago when Trent had a 4-wheeler accident. He had to have 4 stitches in his forehead. And the doctor that was in the ER was the same doctor that helped diagnose Jack 11 years ago. And so they kind of rekindled, and Jack was telling him how he's lost some weight, and he's, you know, because the yo-yo of weight loss with after prednisone kills your thyroid, kills your metabolism, not good stuff. But anyway, sharing with this doctor, and he's just an amazing guy. He's one of those doctors that you just want to clone. In the Western medicine world, we need a lot more of him. He's got excellent bedside manner. He explains every detail of what he does, and doesn't just assume that we all, you know the medical world and know the process of everything. And he gives you options. He actually gives you choices and a say in how you want to be treated. And he empowers his patients. And so that's very unheard of. Usually we felt like we were stupid if we didn't listen to the doctors, or if we had asked a doctor a question, we were like offending them in some way. And so anyway, love this doctor. Jack's telling him how he's riding his bike again. He's back in the tree care business again. And Dr. Tingelstadt says to Jack, well, I'm riding my bike. Let's go for a bike ride. So last weekend, they went on a 27-mile ride. And Dr. Tingelstadt was like, one, really amazed because sarcoidosis is a lung disorder. I mean, it affects any organ of the body. It causes granulous tumors to grow in that are benign, not malignant. So it's not an OMA, it's an OSIS. But having said that, it's a respiratory, mainly lung disease. And so for Jack to be able to ride 27 miles and keep up with Dr. Tingelstadt, he was very impressed with that. And then he was also very impressed with Jack's ability to even lose any weight because of the thyroid and the long-term prednisone use. So again, the environment. You're in control of your own environment. He's in control of what he puts in his mouth. He's in control of what he eats, of if he exercises. And I'm telling you what, guys, we have, he truly believes in, you know, time will tell. 2, 3, 4, 5 months, a year down the road, but time will tell. He believes that consistently eating one YAVO meal a day, because of the protein, because of the macronutrients and the micronutrients and all the vitamins and minerals and the fiber and all these things, he believes that it has helped kick his thyroid back in, because over the last 10 days, he hasn't ridden his bike at all, but he's still losing weight. So that really proved to him the healing power of these healing foods. So we're very excited. He's still in remission. I mean, obviously he's riding his bike 27 miles, but I just want to share with you guys, I know this wasn't that much about marketing. I wasn't anything about marketing, but it was everything about marketing, because you have a story too. You have a story to share. You have a really powerful experience in your life, a story to tell, and people's lives to impact. And so as we go out on this journey together to introduce healing foods to people, you're going to run into people who are like Jack and I, who are like looking, on the lookout, searching, looking for solutions to what they're going to feed their kids. Something that doesn't take a lot of time. I had a friend from high school just Facebook me the other day because of the post that I shared about how proud I was of Jack for losing this 24 pounds. He's a single parent with 2 kids. He's a police officer, so he works all these weird hours. He's a guy, he's like, I don't really like to cook anyway, so we go out to eat all the time. And in the back of his mind, he's like, I know we're not getting the diet we need. I know my kids aren't eating what they need. He goes, I know I'm not. I put on a few extra pounds that I'd like to lose as well. But ultimately, I know we're not eating a healthy diet. So can you tell me more about this YAVO, about the food? Because I'm really interested. So I'm sending him a few samples. Because guys, it's way more, not only the healing nutrients, but the quality of life, right? I mean, for me as a mom, being able to come home and know that I'm fixing something that's healthy for my family, but that they're actually going to want to eat too, you know? I have a house full of boys. They love to eat, but it's got to taste good. They're not going to eat Brussels sprouts. I already know that. Trent will not eat broccoli. I love broccoli. Neither one of them are none of them are fans of kale. So for my household, it was like, this is great. This is so perfect. And I know for people who have parents that are aging, that they're trying to take care of, who don't like to cook, the 80 and 90-year-old parents, that they don't want to cook for themselves, just one person. Another solution there. We're out whitewater rafting. Guess what we had for breakfast this morning? Oatmeal. It was awesome. We didn't eat again till 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Felt full all day on the river. It was super easy. We just heat water. I mean, it's so easy. For those outdoor adventurous kind of people, we have tried all the other pre-made meals in the outdoor world, and they're not good. They are all salt, fat, and sugar. The cholesterol in them, I don't even know how it's legal for them to make the stuff. It has no nutritional value in it whatsoever. Well, that's not true. I checked out a Mountain House the other day because I wanted to compare. And in a serving of the Mountain House, the sodium was off the chart. but it had 2% of vitamin A and 2% of your daily needed vitamin C. That was it. No iron, no riboflavin, no nothing. Calories, lots of calories, and a ton of salt, and really high in cholesterol. Okay, so that's what and it was $8 a serving. So I hope that this story gives you some hope. I hope it helps you even be better at sharing YAVO, healing foods that can help people live a healthier lifestyle and take control of their environment more and make better decisions without having to make huge sacrifices. And I'm a big believer in, instead of looking at your life and going, oh, I want to lose weight, or I want to do this, or I want to get, more fit, or I want to help my body heal, but I don't want to give up anything. Don't give up anything. Just start adding. Start adding one thing. Add one YAVO meal a day, one healthy meal a day for 90 days. Okay? And you have to commit to the 90 days. And here's why. The body regenerates. Everything regenerates on a different kind of regimen. Skin, bone, hair, organs, blood, the tissues in our bodies, they all regenerate on a different cycle. So 90 days, every 90 days, 90 to 120, give or take. I mean, not everybody's exact, but your blood regenerates. Every white and red blood cell is new. Okay? So for you to take something and change something in your life, add more water, add a YAVO meal, add a little exercise, whatever it might be, your body needs a full 90 days cycle to really get the full benefit of whatever that change is. So that's why we always say 90 days. And again, it's all in our Education Beats Medication Total Wellness series, but that's beside the point. So I'm going to close with this one story. And if you guys have questions, please feel free to type them in and ask them now. But we're out on the river. We're on a 34-mile stint, okay? We go halfway the first day, stay the night, and then we go the other half the second day today. It's Father's Day. It's the first trip we've had on the river, and it was rushed. It was like a last minute, it's Father's Day. What do you want to do for Father's Day? I want to go rafting. Okay, let's do it. We're throwing stuff together. We're not as prepared as we normally are. Believe me, guys, we have this rafting thing down to a science, because we go on 7-day trips where everything, all the food we eat, the clothes we wear, everything we need has to be on that boat for us to exist for 7 days, right? I mean, we fish and do that stuff, but water, drinking water, all of it. So you get really good at planning these trips out. Well, this one was like an overnighter. So we're just like, oh, just throw stuff in. We'll be fine. We got what we need. Well, we get on the river, and it's on the river, on the water, in a canyon, and you're on a boat on the water, and the sun is just baking us. And guess who brought no sunscreen? I didn't bring any sunscreen. And I have, you guys probably can't tell, but I'm a really freckly person. I have really light freckly skin. So I just char anyway. So I always have sunscreen. I have it like in my purse, I have it in the car, I have it everywhere, but not on this trip. So I'm like, oh my goodness, what are we going to do? We're going to be on the river for like 7 hours both days. I'm going to be like a lobster. Jack's going to be a lobster. So I'm thinking, holy crap, what are we going to do? We need sunscreen. What are we going to do? We're trying to cover up, wear our hats and stuff. I look over, we're maybe 6 miles into the trip on the first day. I look over on the side of the bank, and there's a big rock. And there's this white thing, this white container sitting right on the top of the rock. And there's nobody around. I mean, we don't see anybody on the river the whole time we're rafting, right? So I'm like, oh, is that sunblock? I think there's sunblock sitting over there on the rock. And Jack's like, what? I don't know. I don't see what you're talking about. And I'm like, right over there. Hurry, get over to shore. Sure enough, I go over, and this is sitting right on top of the rock, just like this. And it's washed off. I mean, obviously it was in the river. Somebody lost their sunblock for us. That's what I believe. Because they knew we'd need it worse than they did. And who knows, maybe a month ago, maybe a day before, I have no clue. But the back was still on. And it's 70%, or not 70%, 70 SPF. And I was just like, see, guys, Danny, Jack, everybody here tonight, the universe gives us what we need when we ask for it. Just has a way. I can't explain how this just happened to show up, and I happened to even look over on the rock and see it from across the river. Just the perfect timing, and Jack could row over to it, no problem. Ask for what you want. Don't be afraid to ask for it. Don't be afraid to ask people to help you get it. Don't be afraid to ask a friend or a loved one, hey, you want to try Yebo for 30 days? I have a friend that's lost 24 pounds in 2 months. 70% of the population on the planet is going to want to try it just because you said that, because 70% of us are struggling with our weight. If you're a woman, 100% of women are going to want to try it for saying that, whether they're really struggling for weight loss or not. I mean, don't be afraid to tell the universe what you want, to ask for it, and to ask other people to help you get it. It takes an army. It takes a village, right? Raise kids. It takes the same thing. It takes a community, it takes a team. That's why we're not here in this journey in life alone. That's why, Yebo's not on the Walmart or the Costco shelf, by the way. There's a very good reason for that. And if you guys are anywhere near any of the cities that the founders are going to be at this week, starts tonight in Sacramento. I know Bert and Sandy and Fred and John and several other people are there. Drive, fly. It is worth it. I've driven and I've flown to meet these guys, and I'll do it again. Susan and I went to Reno not just a few weeks ago. I mean, we've all flown down to Ignite together. Why? Because they care. It's like big food and big pharma is not going to solve these problems for us. They're not going to teach us what we should be eating or share with us the fact that there's nutrients out there in the world that are just as effective, if not more effective, that won't cause any side effects as the corticosteroids and the chemo drugs we're prescribing. They are not going to do everything they can to help us make educated decisions for our health. I don't see most food companies stopping making Oreos. I mean, the only way they will is if we quit buying them, right? The only way anything changes is if we start changing ourselves. Our buying power decisions, what we think, who we help, who we interact with. So remember that. And be willing to step out of your comfort zone. I mean, I'm sitting here talking to my computer screen, watching myself. This is not a comfortable thing to do. But I really believe there's, you guys are on the other side listening. I don't know, maybe you're rolling your eyes going, oh, this doesn't even help me at all with my business. And if that's the case, then I apologize. I hope I don't feel like I've wasted 40 minutes of your life. But I share the story because you have a story too. And if you don't have a story, borrow the story you just heard. Let me tell it. You have somebody who needs to hear it, I'm happy to tell it. Call me. We are here to help each other. And the Founders Tour is going on because Peter Castleman and Chip Marsland have had a vision and a dream and a purpose and a mission for 30 years. They just didn't quite know how it was all going to be put together until about 5 years ago, when the universe brought those two men together. And Peter's passion for wanting to bring healing and health and nutrition back into food and not a supplement met with Chip Marsland's desire to do the same thing. And Chip was the guy who went, I can make that happen. I can do that. I've been dealing with food and nutrition for 30 years, my entire life. I can make this. I can make that work. And so for 5 years, They were perfecting their recipe. They were making the foods and figuring out how to make them taste good while keeping all the vitamins and minerals and nutrients intact so our bodies could assimilate them. I mean, the science behind this, guys, I couldn't even start to tell you, but that's why they're on the road. They can. They can. Talk to Chip for 10 seconds and you're like, oh, this guy knows what he's doing. I don't need to worry. So again, if you're not in an area where they're going to be, but you know somebody who is, invite them. Invite them. Because they're going to be able to hear from the hearts of the people who started this little food company with a huge mission. Okay? So if you guys have any questions, I mean, you're silent, nobody's typing in anything. I am going to take this opportunity to say thank you so much for being here tonight. Next Monday, we will talk about marketing. I promise we're going to get into keywords and hashtags and how to really use them to attract that niche market, because it's crazy how you can just use a few little hashtags in a couple Twitter posts or Facebook posts and get hundreds of views instead of just tens of views, sometimes thousands of views. But tonight was just, I wanted to share a little piece of my life, a little piece of my heart with you guys, whoever showed up. I know people are, it's summertime and it's busy and life is crazy. Believe me, we all have those same things going on in our life, the busy, crazy life, right? The chaotic, I call it chaos and order, and they're always clashing. So again, we get to choose, right? We get to make the commitment. And this network marketing industry is no different than a traditional business when it comes to commitment. You may not have to make the huge financial commitments. You may not have to own a building. You may not have to make your own product. You may not have to pay your employees, but you yourself as a person still have to be just as committed as though you did have to get a loan, and you did have employees, and you did have workers' comp, and you did have payroll and liabilities and taxes and all of those things, and a product to make every day. Okay? And the reason for that is because if we desire to live our life by design and not default, we're not just waiting around to see what happens. If we desire to live it by design, then we have to step out and we have to take the action to make that life happen. And sometimes we get huge gifts because we were willing to ask. Okay? So be willing to ask. I want to hear from you guys. Jack and I are here to help you in every way we can, to the best of our ability. 3-way calls, webinars like this. If you feel like we need an opportunity webinar once a week or 5 times a week, if you feel like we need more marketing materials, we need to hear from you, because these are the things Yevo is asking us as leaders in the field, and we need to hear from our leaders. Where do you need to bridge a gap? Where could you use a little more help here or there? I know that Ross and Vicki are doing having Daryl Young come down to Phoenix, Arizona on the 8th of July, which is going to be so awesome. I mean, they're sending corporate out to help you guys with your meetings. I know Zhenya's doing a presentation. I think it's on the 3rd or the 3rd or the 5th, I can't remember, of July down in Austin, Texas. You guys have so much going on. It's really exciting. So keep the faith, continue to move forward, be a product of the product, keep your commitment, and take those steps every day to introduce 5 people, right, to Yevo International. 5 people a day. And it can start with a simple Facebook message, private message. Hey, I see you're in Austin, Texas. I've been meaning to reach out to you. What are you up to these days? That's a conversation. You didn't talk to anybody about Yevo, but it gets them in the funnel and gets them in the conversation, because eventually they're going to ask you what you're up to too. And that's your opportunity. All right, guys? Yeah, Demi, how are you doing? They are all recorded, and I post them on our Mind Over Marketing group on Facebook, and they're always on my YouTube channel, which is Danny Walker Live. Okay, so you should be able to look me up, I think with just Dani Walker, DaniWalker. Actually, here, I think if you type this into YouTube, Green Solutions for All is actually the name of my YouTube channel. And it's slowly typing here. My internet is not very cooperative on Monday night. Green Solutions for All. And you will find my YouTube channel. Okay? So guys, I want to thank you so much. Demi, I hope you feel so good. I can't wait to talk to you. I'm going to give you a call after this because I want to hear how you're doing. So I want, hopefully maybe, yeah, Demi, I think she'll agree to this. I'm going to put her on the spot tonight. Next Monday, she's going to be on this webinar sharing her YAVO experience from beginning to now. Okay? Because she has an amazing story herself, and you guys need to start sharing these stories with each other so that you can use them to help build your business and to help people get healthy and take back their health. So that is this beautiful journey we get to be on together. Jack and I want to thank you for being here. I hope whoever is a father on the webinar tonight, I hope you had a fabulous Father's Day, and I wish you all a fabulous Monday. And go to yavocalendar.com and you will see all the founders meetings and all the other meetings going on that anybody is free to attend. Okay, guys? Have a marvelous night. And we will be back here next Monday, same time, same place. Thanks.